Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas kept borrowing costs unchanged as it projects moderate inflation. The key interest rate remains at 6.5%. Let's now get the thoughts of former Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Deputy Governor Diwa Guinigundo. Sir Diwa, thank you so much for joining us. Did the Monetary Board of the BSP do the right thing by keeping interest rates on hold today?
Well, thank you very much, Rico, for having me here. I'm sorry I cannot make it to your studio. But I think the Monetary Board did the right thing to pause. But a pause does not imply that the BSP is abandoning a tight monetary policy. It's a pause at 6.5% policy rate. So that means the accumulated tightening in the last many months continue to take effect in the economy. And the major reason why the BSP decided to pause is to allow those series of policy rate adjustments to work their way through the economy. In other words, the BSP expects more impact to happen and to be felt by the economy in the succeeding months. But I would have wished that the central bank, continued with the tightening monetary policy by another 25 basis points. For a number of reasons, Rico. One, tightening today would be a logical sequel to the October off-cycle adjustment in the policy rate. I mean, we get the impression that there was some urgency to adjust the policy rate in October. It was an off-cycle meeting of the board, and they decided to do a 25
Sir
basis
Diwa,
points increase.
but Sir Diwa,
so you would expect, so you would expect that another tightening would follow. Now, second, yes, inflation last week was lower, just like in the many years before, and certainly this would have an easing impact on the succeeding inflation and forecast down the line. But if you take a look at the announcement by Deputy Governor Francis Daquila, the changes were rather modest. The risk-adjusted inflation forecast was only from 6.2 to 6.1 for the November meeting.
So, Sir Diwa,
for 2020.
Sir Diwa, I would like to jump in. No, I hope you don't mind. So, if in your view, the BSP should have raised rates today but didn't, when do you think should they raise the next time? Should it be another off-cycle interest rate hike? And a follow-up question to that, the 4.9 inflation rate, was that just an aberration?
Well, no one can say what it is, Rico. It may be an aberration, or it may presage a trend towards easing. No one knows. I'm sure even the BSP would not have any idea whether that particular decline to 4.9% will continue in the next few months. So I'm not sure if an off-cycle meeting will be necessary again to adjust. I think they had time to do it in December.
A December rate hike of another 0.25%. So that will raise it to 6.75%.
No, I think it will depend on the kind of inflation readings that they would have in the first week of December for the November actual inflation as reported by the Philippine Statistics Authority. That is one data point that they need. The other is, of course, what's going to happen to the exchange rate. Thirdly, what about the supply side? Are there mitigation measures that we can expect to help bring down inflation until the end of the year? As we know, the BSP is an inflation targeting central bank, and as such, it takes 2 points in consideration. One, it adjusts the monetary policy in terms of the forecast. What is going to happen in the next few months with a policy horizon of 12 to 18 months. And then because monetary policy works with the so-called long and variable lag. What they do today will not affect inflation tomorrow or the following week, but it will affect several months after. So it is dependent on the inflation forecast of the BSP very
Sir
much.
Diwa,
And that forecast depends so much also on what they see today.
all right, so it will be all data-driven. I would like now to shift our attention
That's right.
from monetary policy to the Maharlika Investment Corporation. President Bongbong Marcos is promoting it to American investors. Will there be a lot of interest among international investors to invest in this sovereign wealth fund of the Philippines, in your view?
Well, I have no way of determining the interest of potential foreign investors. There are still issues about the Maharlika investment fund, particularly the issue of fiscal surplus or profit or windfall profits from the sale of public assets. In other words, we have yet to confront and resolve the issue of capitalization. Is it going to be a one-off payment by both the Land Bank and the DBP, and of course the dividends of the BSP and the other government-owned and controlled corporations? If this is going to be done on an installment basis, I think foreign investors, potential foreign investors, would consider that in their decision to come in and invest with the Maharlika Investment Fund.
So,
I mean, knowing that it is partially subscribed to or partially capitalized.
So, Sir Diwa, we just have about 1 minute left in this interview. He mentioned when he signed the law that there will be no political interference, but there was political interference when he tweaked the IRR to basically appoint an executive who does not reach the qualifications of the original law. So are we likely to see then the GSIS eventually and the SSS being included in terms of funding the Maharlika Investment Fund going forward?
Well, it is possible that political considerations will be more dominant in the economic decisions that will have to be taken by the Maharlika Investment Corporation. One is, of course, the kind of flexibility that was given to the Maharlika Investment Fund. It can borrow to invest. It can borrow to invest. It can invest in some corporations, whether listed or not in the equities market. In other words, there's so much flexibility that I hope adherence to the so-called 24 principles, the Santiago principles, will be sufficient to ensure that there is transparency, accountability, and good governance. Without these three elements, it will be difficult. It will be a tall order for us to invite foreign investments and even domestic investors to come in.
Former Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Deputy Governor Diwa Guinigundo, thank you so much for your insights.